Hey, good morning. Welcome to Musings. Not sure where Scott's at yet this morning, so hopefully he'll be joining us soon. He's probably on a call dealing with some real estate. So, with that in mind, here is the Team Titans ad.
When it's time to hire a real estate team to help you buy or sell your biggest asset,
You want a realtor who puts in the effort to train properly to help you win.
You want a team that works hard to understand the current real estate market.
A team that attends your home inspection with you and knows how to negotiate all the potential issues that may come up.
A team that works together on all transactions, making us available anytime you need your realtor, including evenings and weekends.
A team that understands what it takes to negotiate and win when there are multiple offers on the table.
We have been training for this moment. The moment of making your real estate transaction a success.
Who are we?
We are Team Titans of Real Estate.
Team Titans is ready to put together your playbook to win in this current real estate market. Call us at 586-232-5144 and ask for Scott or Jill.
Together we can achieve more.
Hey, welcome back, Scott.
Hey, that was me.
That was you. Wasn't sure how long you were going to be, so if we were running the ad.
Nope, perfect. Actually, that works out great having that preloaded like that.
I know, we get less of you talking.
I know, right? But actually, I was a little late because we have a new listing coming up. So
Nice.
We're going out for photos and getting the contract signed later on.
Mhm.
So tomorrow it will be hitting the MLS. So I'll be able to stay tuned to see all the photos and pictures. But and then yesterday we had a closing for a client, got their house sold. So just keeping busy, trucking forward. So
Excellent.
good times. Yeah.
Excellent.
So how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Had jury. I was called to jury duty. I had to go
Yes.
yesterday morning, and it's interesting. And this, I know all the judges probably said. I thought the judge was really nice. I liked how she explained everything. She had good manner. You know, you get some of these ones that seem to be just a hard ass, right off the bat and stuff like that. She wasn't. And she wasn't like pandering anybody, but she says, I have my rules. Here's what they are. Here's how we're going to do things. If you want to be excused, jobs are not one or something like that. I didn't raise my hand into that. So I actually got called in to sit in the box with the first 14 people in the actual jury box. And they basically give you a list of stuff, and you basically say your name, go through the answer the questions they have on there, and then they ask you some questions and stuff like that. Yeah. Well, the last thing was, and keep it. I told her, I said, well, the only thing I got with this is I'm supposed to be at the Motor City Comic Con it starts Friday. I got to go Thursday for setup. I had to explain a little bit of that. And I said, it's a weekend long thing. I said, it's something I've invested money in as a business owner, running my own comic book business. And
right.
As a publisher writer. And I said, so that's what I got going on. So that'd be the only thing I'd ask about being released. I said, but other than that, that's it. Definitely has been a long trial. Being a gig worker, you don't have vacation time you can take to help supplement your income or anything like that. You have to figure out when you can work around that stuff. So if I was on the trial, it would have been 10 days they were expecting through next Friday, which leads right up to Memorial Weekend. So definitely a long trial on that. But I'm saying, unfortunately, I was excused. But it is kind of our civic duty to do these things. The only thing that gets me, and I was first mad a little bit about this. I'm tired of living on the furthest edge of Wayne County and always having to go downtown Detroit. There's a U.S. District Court in Ann Arbor's closer, but there were people that came from Jackson, Monroe, Macomb, and everything else. So it was all over Southeast Michigan and mid Michigan. They were pulling for the jury. So pools like that, but it was a neat experience. I was out of there at a decent time. I actually went and tried to work a little bit in the afternoon, and so I still got a little bit of partial day in. So, but that was kind of my excitement this week.
Yeah. Now, when you are going through the whole jury process,
mm-hmm.
I just want to know, was it something like this? From the show Jury Duty.
And the English translation of the French voir dire is to speak the truth.
I actually, I have this.
Pause that
with my girlfriend.
Okay, they actually brought up that exact line, voir dire.
Did they?
Yes, but the way they did it was not interviewing individual jurors. They had a box. They had everybody in the box, and they went down. And then when was there time they were able to ask certain questions. That voir dire came up early. They talked about they did early statements from the judge and the different lawyers and that. But that actual they did mention that what that was, and the judge is the one that brought it up, voir dire. So
Okay.
so
It's our 6-month anniversary.
A trip.
Yeah, this is the first time that we've been completely unsupervised. Our parents aren't there, so you can
Okay,
kind of
pause
see how
again.
that would be like a big.
Sir, a vacation.
okay, you can stop showing this because it's none of this is like that.
Well, it's a joke.
It's I know, but
Jerry did.
but
Anyways,
but
the guy.
they do ask, and there was actually
Right.
people in my group. There was
Yeah.
3 of them that said, "Hey, we've got vacations planned," and they do
Yeah.
take that into account.
Yeah.
But no,
But
we
on
didn't
the
have
show,
anybody
he
that was
says that, and they don't let him out. So then he says, "Well, I'm a racist," and then he immediately regrets it because everybody's looking at him.
Well, I did have someone in my group who she didn't say she was a racist, but her basic statement was, "I believe anybody that the government is going after must have evidence to prove that to know that they are guilty. So I assume they are already guilty."
Yeah, Jill also had the same line of thought with jury duty for the show.
Yeah. Now mine wasn't funny. I mean, they were very serious, and in fact, we had a college kid that was on my group. His grandfather is a former attorney. He came in and was waiting and approached, and the judge knew who he was and basically stopped him and said, "I'm going to allow you to ask one question or make one statement." And so he didn't carry on or anything but he basically said, that he had to drive his grandson down, who's a college student, because that's his only transportation to get there. His wife has Parkinson's, so he was trying to get him not to be on the jury because. And the other thing was he did mention there he has a 12-week internship starting next week. And not going to have classes, but it's a 12-week internship where he would not have that work for the week. We'll put him behind deadline type internship. He's an engineer, college student in that, but definitely was kind of interesting on that.
I've only been called for jury duty one time. And the way it worked for ours was it was just a big room where everyone sat in, and they gave a little talk. They were very polite to all of the potential jurors, but they gave a big talk about how important the jury is.
Yeah, they did that too
system.
for us.
Yeah, and it is important. It's a very important part. Even if you don't get called, they were saying how it's important. Sometimes just the threat of the jury being present is enough to get them to negotiate a deal separately. So we might not get called at all. And they were very good to us. We went out for lunch. When we came back, only a couple of people got held. Almost everyone got released. And it was a day. My real concern, though, I wouldn't mind being on a jury personally, but my biggest concern is I don't think I could stay awake for 8 hours of just listening.
I heard
people talk.
Not at this thing, but I saw something on TV just last night talking about I think it was on the news, something like that, talking about something with a case. And it was after lunch when they said that the jury is actually a little more sleepy now.
Right.
So they're kind of like half listening and stuff like that. But something was said and it was like the jury immediately perked up.
Yeah.
So it's stuff like that. But yeah, and that's the thing. Actually, one of the guys that got released, an older guy, he said he has trouble comprehending sometimes. He can hear, but he doesn't always hear exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It comes through mumbled, he mentioned the exact problem he has. He gave whatever the medical term is for it.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things I wouldn't mind. I mean, they said 10 days. I'm saying, oh crap, I got like too much going on with this here. One of my concerns is if I did an actual trial is it's Monday through Friday, so I don't have to worry about weekends so much. I could still work on the weekend, but being a gig worker, I don't have personal time, or I don't have a company that's going to pay me to be a jury duty, and they pay you $50 a day plus they cover up to $15 of parking. It sounded like though people were parking in the garage I didn't realize you could do this. If I park across the streets, they're going to reimburse me my full amount anyways, but there's a garage there and you can park there, and I guess they validate your parking then and you're good, which is nice. But it's the whole thing is they bring you in, they do that whole stuff, and it's
for me, in like classroom settings, meetings at work, I need a piece of paper and I'll doodle through the whole thing. Even in classes, I would draw through the whole class and lectures. I would be listening, but I would need to do it. Just sitting and watching and listening, I don't think I could do it.
Yeah, I was similar to that in school too, where I needed to be doing something else to be able to pay attention. And of course, a lot of teachers over the years have always said, "Oh, you're not paying." Not just me, a bunch of kids. Oh, you're not paying attention because you're doing this or that. And then a lot of times, most of us could actually say, "Well, this is what you're talking about."
Right.
And what it is it's a distraction of the brain. I need that even nowadays. As whether if I'm writing, I'll put something. I have to have something else on, either TV, music, something like that. Yeah, and I gotta be, if I'm drawing, I gotta have other stuff on to kind of to help me actually focus on the task more at hand.
Right.
To shut off the rest of my brain that wants to say, "Hey, it's party time,"
Yeah. And so I'd be like, okay, I'm willing to do this, but I'm gonna have to get up to pee every 30 to 60 minutes because I had to take a water pill in the morning. I need something to doodle on through the whole thing, and if I doze off, I can't get in trouble.
Yeah, but I can't tell you how many people ask me if I got out of jury just because they're, "Oh, did you pull the racist card?" And I joke, I said,
That's the joke, yeah.
I'm not racist. I said, I like Black people, I like Asian people, I like all these other people. I just don't like crackers.
Yeah. Who was the comedian that said, "I'm not racist. I hate all people equally"?
Yeah, there's a bunch of them did that. It's almost where you want to walk in and be from that movie. I forget which one it was, but it's been quoted billions of times. F you, you're cool, F you.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's so I did my civic duty. I appeared. I didn't ask to be released. I just told them this is what I have going on. I'm supposed to be going on, and I'm supposed to be there.
Yeah, and they legitimately try. If you have a hardship, they do take that into account.
Yeah, and a few people mentioned that if you got vacations planned, stuff like that, and a lot of like, yeah, we're leaving next week. It's Memorial Weekend's coming up, so the trial. When they mentioned what the trial is going to be about, I didn't say anything then, of course, but I was like, I remember hearing this in the news a few years ago. So,
it's from a few years ago.
Yeah, it sounds like it's been pushed a little bit, mainly because I think through COVID stuff and things like that got delayed. So, and it's like for the jury, amount of people they brought in for the jury, there's a good amount of us there. But the jury room, we were always there. It was the only trial going on or at least jury selection was yesterday. And I knew that ahead of time because it's on the website. I was kind of looking for a couple of days, like, okay, how many jury trials are going to be happening this week? And I saw there was only 2. So I was like, one on Monday, I didn't get called for that. And then Tuesday I had to appear for that. So I was like, okay, well, and then it's like, oh, they're usually like 1 to 3 days. I was like, okay, 1 to 3 days I could do, I'd probably make it happen. If I couldn't make it Friday for Motor City, at least it's not going to encroach on too much of everything else. But I was like, oh, nope, I'm done. So, but that was kind of my excitement this week on that. And then now today I'll get everything. I'll go through, make sure I got everything prepped, ready to set up tomorrow afternoon after I get off work for Motor City Comic Con. I'll be at B5 in Artist Alley. Yeah, I got to make a post. I got to get all that posted on there for the map and stuff like that. So,
nice.
But so what else you got going on besides selling homes?
Yeah, just been busy mostly doing that. On the I'm trying to think, we'll talk about it later. I watched all of Tales of the Empire. I really enjoyed that. Movie wise, didn't really get out much. I was hoping to see Fall Guy, and now I'm not so crazy about it. A few different friends, unassociated friends, who saw it, they all seemed to say it was just very flat and forced comedy. So kind of like, okay, I didn't want to see it that bad, so maybe I'll just wait for streaming. And just been busy. A lot of landscaping and yard work. Did a lot with Jill's yard, and then my mother's house. We did a lot of mulch and dirt and stuff like that. So it's a good workout. It was kind of like break that winter malaise that kind of settled over me. Sitting indoors all the time. So that was nice to be outside, and you get that soreness, but it actually feels good. It's like, oh, my body still works. So did that, but I think that's most of it there.
Okay.
Nothing too exciting, really. We just been busy.
Yeah. Well, life is busy anymore, and I stayed busy over the weekend, working day job, and Had some nice weather. It's funny. It's like yesterday they kept saying in the news, "Oh yeah, Tuesday it's gonna be like high of 60 and it's gonna be cold. It's gonna be rainy." And then get up and it's like, nope, it's gonna be like 72. And only the north part of the Metro Detroit area is gonna get some rain, and then it's gonna be sunny. And it ended up being like 78 on Ann Arbor when I was out there working.
Yeah, yesterday we're because we're trying time when to take our photos for the houses, and yesterday was supposed to be 80% chance rain, so we scheduled it for today. And then yesterday, it's like as the day was going, it was like 40%, then dropped to 20. I'm like, then nothing happened. It's like, oh, all right.
Yeah. They just can't get it right anymore. I think the problem with meteorology right now is they've always been off a little bit. I mean, it's can't say they ever were actually correct, but the more they rely on these models, and I really think they've switched to they used to mention like the American model, European models. They don't even do that anymore. I think they've gone to a complete AI type system that really is getting it wrong all the time, and it's not truly able to. You're not really paying attention to what's really going on as much versus letting the AI and the computer say, well, this is what we think it's going to do based on whatever data I had from years past. And you can't do that because you got to watch what's happening, not what has happened.
Well, I think there's a real issue that's actually happening too, and why the computer models can't get it right anymore. And it's things like this. This here is a contract from the NOAA website for them messing with our atmosphere. They're doing a lot of atmosphere interference and changing.
Well, and they were saying that with the sunstorm, they were saying they did put particles in the air, and that's created the northern lights that went further south.
That's what this is. It's spraying those particles in the air, and it's a company called Make Sunsets Incorporated. This is a 200-year contract this company has with our government, and it says here's the scope: the entire Earth. They have a 200-year contract to spray this stuff, and when you look at where it's checked for has for the safety and environment, has an environmental impact statement been done? No. Have any testing been done to see if this is harmful? No. Have any safety precautions been put in place? No. And signed by Luke Eisman. And if you look him up, Time magazine, Political, all these things talk about this guy in this contract last year and how dangerous this guy is. He's known for doing crazy stuff. And he has full look at the floods that just happened in the Middle East there at Dubai. They got, what was it, like 2 years of rain in 24 hours? They have no clue what they're doing. And I think this is really why weathermen have no clue what's happening anymore, because they don't know the impact of. Well, if you sucked out 2 years of moisture out of the air in 24 hours, well, that moisture would have gone somewhere else. Now that they're not going to get that.
Well, it's the thing, like you're if you had a genie and you wish for water, where the water gets pulled from somewhere else. That's always the evil impact of a genie was, well, you get this, but someone else suffers.
Yeah, you wish for $1 million, you get $1 million. You found out your grandma had $1 million life policy, and now she's gone.
Yeah, so
you got your $1 million.
There's always a cause and effect.
And I really think this is why they are so screwed up. Nothing.
Well, what's funny is they will allow stuff like that to happen. They're going to actually throw stuff in the atmosphere to try to create this beautiful look or whatever else. And then we got the state of Michigan talking about wanting to tax us per mile now as we're driving cars.
Oh, yeah.
And because gas is so bad for the environment.
Yeah, even though it's proving that electric vehicles are the biggest scam ever, all the companies that are making electric vehicles that are not surviving off of taxpayer money subsidies, they're starting to scale back. They're announcing they're scaling back on those. But the domestic companies that get millions and millions of dollars of our money, they're still producing it, even though nobody wants them.
Yeah, well, you shared a thing the other day about Toyota showing that hybrids are much better for the environment than the full electric cars.
Yep. This was Toyota's internal studies that got leaked, and they proved electric vehicles are horrible for the environment.
Yeah.
but it's just getting pushed. And
Because they don't. A lot of people that they're driving them just think the driving itself is what's saving. No, it's how they built it. It's how they get the minerals to make the batteries. It's how they get all the different stuff they need. And then you get into Tesla. I've been seeing more articles pop up. People are having to get rid of their Teslas, and then they're finding out that they've been getting sick while driving them because they're full of mold.
oh yeah,
because they're not
awful.
properly made. So
Yep.
but
And I think that's why Elon every year sells his maximum allowable stocks too, because he knows at some point the man behind the curtain is going to be revealed, and everyone's going to learn, oh, electric vehicles are crap.
Yeah,
they really are.
The people that seem to be loving them, most of them, I say they're very short drivable people. They're not driving all day long. I've gotten asked in my job by a couple people now. It's like, well, why don't you drive electric? I'm like, well, first of all, if I'm gone all day, it's easier to fill up a tank than to sit and wait hours for it to recharge.
Yeah.
Number two is the environmental impact, and I tell them, of how they create the vehicle, batteries and all, is worse than the cars. It takes, I've seen several things. They pop up, they're legitimate articles, and they get forced out somehow off the internet. And everything I say, it says it's about 8 years of driving an electric car, and it equals the same amount of time as a gas car. Well, gas cars aren't lasting forever anyways. So there is no, it's not doing anything better for the environment.
Right. If it takes you 8 years to make back the carbon footprint and plus what's the lifespan of an electric car? About 8 years, because now it's time to replace the battery, and no one wants that.
Yeah. Well, there's been actually a lot of it. I think it's even less than I think it's more like 5 if they're driving it every day like a regular car. It's gonna be 5 years, and then if you have to replace the battery, that battery is like $30,000 now.
Right.
But then of course you get this garbage, which I have actually seen in Ann Arbor. As Elon wanted a truck made that looked like his drawing from when he was 7 years old.
Doesn't it look like it's from amazing 3D graphic from 1982?
Yeah, it looks like what a kid would draw when they don't know how to draw yet.
Yeah. Well, and then along that line too, in the UK, they're starting to put cameras up at all the corners and intersections. And they record your license plate. And if you're driving a non-electric vehicle, they are fining you $12.5 pounds.
Yeah.
So I think a pound is worth more than $1, but I'm not sure the conversion. Yeah. But anyway, let's say $12 a day, because you're driving a non-environmental friendly. So there's this crew now. This self-complete, this vigilante group. Whenever they see a new camera go up, they are spray painting the lenses or throwing stuff on them and dismantling these cameras, but they're trying to fine you for driving that. And all these people, if you drive an electric, go for it. But I'm sorry, you're a complete moron if you think you're saving money, because you're paying $60,000 for the car, let's say. The amount of depreciation you're taking in your first 5 years of that car, that's a real cost to you. 5 years later, you'll sell a gas vehicle for far more 5 years later.
Well, we're not going to see any really resale on electric vehicles, because by the time someone gets them, those batteries are useless. Think about your phones. I mean, it's the same thing on a larger scale. The phone's batteries are going to go. You can't resell a phone after 5 years, not just because the technology is old, which it is on the cars versus the newer ones too, but it's also the fact that the batteries have to be replaced, and the cost of this phone is just like those cars. It's 60% battery.
Right. And then also you're charging.
Yeah.
As your phone gets older, you don't get a full day's charge anymore. You're like every 5 hours.
I had to get a new phone because my port broke, but it was almost 3 years old, and the battery wasn't lasting like it should.
Right.
I mean, I go like 2 hours on this battery, and it's only down maybe 10% now because it's a really good battery. Previous phone, if I went 2 hours with my normal work day, it was down 60%. So Scott froze. I don't know if he knows it or not, but he froze.
I froze. I'm back. But yeah, so the mileage you get, that's the ideal mileage you get in perfect conditions when the battery is brand new on your car. So every single year, you're going to get less of a charge, less mileage. It's going to get worse.
Yeah,
that's the way it works. So drive it if you want.
The idea that like
don't tell me you're saving money.
Well, the one person that told me that his significant other got a electric vehicle because her work offers free charging, so they just charge up at work every day. Well, that's great. That's for now, But all this jumping into it, and it goes from the top down of our government and other countries, like you said with the UK. They all claim this electric is the way to go. There is no real studies that that they went on. They just said, nope, go electric. It's not gas. Gas is bad, and that's not the
But
truth.
also, that person getting the free charging, it's not free.
No.
Your company is either getting taxpayer money, so I paid for you to get that free charging to put those chargers in, or they're rolling it into their product, which is causing a higher price point, and the customer has to pay. That is not free.
Yeah.
Not at all. So you're
I
not
know,
getting
and that's the whole
free
thing.
charges.
But that's the thing. But just the cost and everything else. And then, of course, when you do pay for electricity yourself, it's like, oh, well, I can do this. And they're showing more and more. And even local news has been showing, when they're charging what it's costing for electricity versus gas, time, everything else. And they're also showing what people traveling. I tried to travel. And this is just within the state of Michigan, trying to take a trip and having to stop, charge, or find a charging place. And when they do, and they keep going, we're going to expand it everywhere. It's like, no, they're making a big mistake on this stuff. We've never really gotten into this too much, but enough, a little bit here and there. But I was going to ask, mom asked me, would you ever get a hybrid? Yeah, I'd get a hybrid. Extend your gas mileage. You get there's things like that, and there has been stuff over the years. I've not seen any I like. Now, when I bought my Escape, they did have a hybrid Escape available, and I asked, I said, what's the savings on that? Gas like that, and they showed me, and it wasn't the cost difference of the vehicle versus the savings over the typical span of the vehicle. There was no difference. It was you're gonna spend you end up spending more because you're not going to save enough in gas to make up to several $1,000s difference.
At least in most, I don't know if it's true for all, but most hybrids, if you get a flat tire, you don't have a spare in the trunk. That's all battery back there. So you don't. Your car does not come with a spare if you get a hybrid usually.
No, they don't. Not as far as I know, none of them do anymore.
Yeah, I think none of them, but I'm not 100%.
And I think even electric vehicles are very limited on if they have a spare at all, because of the fact that just to have enough trunk space to allow them to be able to put stuff in the trunk,
the batteries are so heavy
batteries
and
still take everything else. And that's part of it too. Is that the more weight, those tires will take up a lot of weight, and with the batteries and how much it uses, stuff like that, that adds to it. Yeah. So you're going to be getting towed somewhere if you do have a flat tire. But yeah, I mean, I got nothing against the hybrids. I personally think that stuff I saw 25 years ago with a move towards hydrogen was a better layout. But again, the pushing to get rid of gas so quickly is part of the problem. But it really leads to, I think, more government control.
That's what it's about.
And it's not even about being a Democrat or Republican. I personally am just against any more government control.
It's government control. It's when you have an electric car, they can shut you off from a distance.
Yeah, and they've said that with Tesla, especially. Elon's done that.
And you got to be careful. Yeah, they actually, when you buy it too, all the accessories are there. You have to pay to unlock it.
Yes.
So the car is built with everything in it.
Yeah, it's like all the
video
computer games now. You have to download downloadable content. Yes.
Yeah. So there's that. But the other part to worry about too, and this is a real problem right now that I'm surprised is not bigger in the news right now. Those vehicles are becoming mostly computers. Hacking is a real problem. Corewell Health, and I know from personal sources, Corewell Health and Ascension had insanely massive cyber attacks these last 2 weeks.
Well, it's been on the news. They ran into issues where they had to handwrite everything, and people just the workers freaked out. Handwrite? Oh my God!
Yeah, they're handwriting everything.
But they were being held for ransom.
Right. But here's my question: what if I'm in the middle of treatments? Everything is digital. A, are they deleting out parts of my treatment? B, are they changing my treatment? Are they adding things into my treatment? Who's they're hacking it, but what's being done? Is there a way to even check? I don't know.
That's the thing is I think that we've relied too much on cloud storage, not just digital, cloud storage.
And who owns the cloud storage? No one ever asked that question.
Well, a lot of it is actually Amazon, AWS. As they handle a lot of stuff for Netflix and different streaming services too.
Amazon does?
Yeah, AWS is their company. Yeah, they built one of the largest servers. Problem is that companies are getting away from their own internal server and going to externalizing everything to save money. And that way they cut their IT people down. They don't have people their IT people don't have to worry about running an actual server. All they're doing is making sure the terminals are all working, and or laptops or tablets or whatever they need. Problem is they should have. These companies need to go back to their own safeguarded terminals with all their own information.
And disconnected from,
and if they want to, they could back up to an offsite location to cover that, so you have that aspect of that. But then things like this, medical work or stuff like that, it should be something that's behind a huge firewalls that can't be accessed remotely at all. If they, it should be something that when they do an update, it's a one-way transmission from their server to the external server, not back. And the only reason to bring it back would be through a different channel to restore data. But you have to, of course, at that point, then they can check it.
Of course, then who are they hiring to build these?
Well, that's the problem.
The people making the hacks.
Pretty much, yeah.
They're building their own backdoor into the system.
Well, and I see stories like that all the time on through Reddits and Reels and things like that, where guys that say, "Yeah, I created an app for this company. I put my own backdoor in, and when they didn't pay me, it kept pinging my server, and when I didn't get paid by a certain time, the ping back was a code that deactivated all the apps. And then the company then we would call them and say, "Well, it's not working. Well, you didn't pay me." But that's what they're doing. So if you want to not have that happen, you have to hire people that work for you 100% to create that stuff. But it's not going to happen. It's just all this stuff. But yeah, the stuff with we've been hearing this the last couple of years and it turns out it's usually Russian and other countries, China countries we can't get any extradition of these people out of that is actually doing the hacking. And it literally is they come up and they go, "I want $22 million." And then when they pay it, it's all released. It's what's been happening in several different instances. So,
I hear about it being released and stuff, but the question is though, is it being released intact or is it being altered? Like, think about it.
Oh, I think it's being altered. I think they've also, by that point, if they got in one way, they put in backdoors to come back time later. So what's going to have to happen is you have to hire hackers to work for you and pay them a huge amount of money already to go through and look for these backdoors.
Yeah, I think the level of hacking going on is at a far greater level than the media is talking about, or even our government is publicly talking about. I think I really think we're in World War III already, and it's being fought in a much different way.
We've been in cyber wars for quite a long time. It's definitely going on.
Yeah, and
the problem is it could definitely get worse the more and more we rely on that stuff. And
exactly our level of reliance now. Can anyone drive anywhere anymore without GPS? Like, do people remember directions? We don't know our phone numbers anymore. So if someone wipes out my phone remotely, I have nobody's phone number in my head.
Yeah. Well, we used to, and I haven't got anything around here right now, but I used to have a book that had everybody's number in it.
Remember the old Rolodex?
Yeah, the Rolodex. Well, and there's still
maybe you need to get one, and
there's still people that keep them, and actually, it's not a bad idea to do that because you never know when your phone may die, or this may die, or that may die, and you want access to that. So personally, it's one of those things where I've got backups of my phone numbers through Google, and I can go on. If I can get online, I can pull them off, but if I can't get them.
Right.
But then there's a lot of times like if my phone don't work, nobody else's phone's probably working. So if there's a huge problem, and then it doesn't matter.
We don't have landlines anymore.
Yeah, pretty much landlines are done. It's they killed that market. And I used to.
My understanding is you can't even get one if you want it now. They only have the ones that are in existence, and once it goes, it goes.
No, you could still get technically a landline, but most of it now is handled through your cable companies like Xfinity.
Well, right, but that's not a true landline. It's still using
the true landlines are gone,
right?
And they have been for a long time. And well, you can I think you can still contact AT&T and get one, but if you're not already hooked up for it, like if your home was never hooked up for it, they're not going to come out and hook you up for cheap.
That's my understanding. Is you have to already have it physically hooked up for you to have it. Otherwise, they'll maintain what they have. But
new homes are not getting any of the landlines hooked up anymore, because everything's going to fiber optics with the internet. So, and I think even AT&T now, if they hook you up, they're going to come and hook a box up, and it may be hooked up to the phone jack, but it's not really hooked up to the old phone lines anymore. It's actually hooked up through their internet service.
Yeah. How crazy.
So, well, everything's changing. It's kind of the way it goes. Stuff like that.
Back in my day.
Yeah, yeah. Back in my day, just 6 years ago.
My phone number was 6.
Yeah. Well, that's what that was on Ghosts when she
Yep.
one lady,
Hetty.
she's like, "Well, Hetty, what was your phone number?" It was 2.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's funny because I was talking with a guy. I met this guy Chris at the store last week, an older gentleman, and he comes up to me when I'm checking out. He goes, "You're here all the time when I'm here," and I said, "Well, I'm a chip shop." I explain what I do. So I've seen him like a dozen times in the last 2 weeks. As he comes and gets a few things here and there. We were chatting. And he was talking about some of the phones, and he goes, "Do you remember party lines?" I was like, "Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember party lines as a kid. You pick up the phone and there's already people talking. It's like, what is
See,
this
I never
garbage?"
had that.
We never
My
had
mom.
one, but
Oh, yeah.
but we knew neighbors that did. I remember being
Really?
over at the house. So I need to call my mom real quick and pick it up. And there's someone on your phone. Oh, it's a party line. Just hang up.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I
So
know
then I
my
had to
parents.
walk home. Yeah,
My parents talked about when they were growing up, they had like the whole block was one phone.
yeah.
So everybody's line, if someone's already talking on you, people would eavesdrop and listen.
Oh yeah, and it was
Yeah.
cost. I mean, it was a cost
Yeah.
savings thing because costs of phone lines was definitely expensive. Cost of making phone calls was expensive. So that's what
Right.
people don't remember now is they forget that we get long distance calls, and now you get like you look at your plans like, oh, I can call Canada and Mexico and text all over the place now. It's gotten so cheap. When I first started selling wireless phones, of course, the cost per minute was high. Nobody complained about that. But at the same time, it was about a year or so when MCI took over the company I worked for. So besides cell phones, we sold long distance, and long distance was not your local package. That was back when they split the long distance company and said, oh, now there's a million of them. And the big deal was getting everybody down to 10 cents a minute.
Well, and also back in the days of when modems were starting to become popular, that's where you learned of local long distance.
Yes.
And so you sign into a local phone number, and depending on your boundary, I had one where the exchange was literally 2 streets from me, but the boundary was there. So it was a local long distance call, and you get charged by the minute. So, you're logging in to go online to AOL or something, and all of a sudden you get your phone bill and it's like $300 because the exchange, which was just over the boundary line.
Yeah. Well, what they changed initially was, especially in Detroit, we saw this. It went from this huge 313 area to split to 313-810. And then it was like, we're running out of numbers because cell phones were eating up all the numbers. Well, they weren't reusing numbers was part of the big problem at the time.
Right.
And so they go, we got to split it again. So then we came out with 734 and 248. Now they got what, 969 or something like that.
Oh,
I think it's a little further. So there's another one. It came out. They all have, it happened very quickly. And then someone actually in government, someone actually smart said, we need to look at this. And they went and found, oh, there's a ton of numbers available. They're just not being used and recycled through again because everybody goes, I want a good number. I can only have a good number. And I mean, I saw that selling people like, I got to have, and we at the time would get lists of numbers. And then it became, as I was leaving the industry around 2002 and 3, where they stopped sending out numbers to the dealers that we were. And it was when you go online and you put in for a new phone or a new phone number, it'll pop up a number and that's the number you get. And if someone wants to get a special number, they realize they could charge, and they will look to see what's available, but they would charge them a huge amount of money for it. So, but yeah, it's the whole thing on phones has changed because it was something that the local long distance thing was something they popped in, and mainly that was because they were losing so much money to cell phones because your cell phone you could just call anybody within a certain area. Long distance was not the same as the local landlines.
Yeah.
So, and then of course, with cable modems coming in, it was taken away from that too. They were trying to capture whatever money they could until they got themselves established in those markets as well.
Right.
So, and it's just like everything. When we watch all this stuff going on, all the stuff is hitting the markets is that we see changes. It's like the streaming companies, you've heard about the mergers about to happen or the packages that you'll now have available.
Yeah.
So now we're going to have Disney, Hulu, and Max as a package that's coming out soon. They just announced through Comcast, and I think it's just for their customers. I haven't been able to verify anything outside of that. They're going to have Netflix, Apple TV, and Peacock together. And the packages are going to be
my Netflix.
Yeah, the packages are going to be supposedly cheaper than if you got all three separate. So, and I have some of these separate. I'm looking and going, okay, well, I've already got Disney, Hulu, and if they're going to add Max to that, I know what I'm paying like $10 a month for that. But if I can add on Max and it not be much more, I might do that.
So what we're going to have is in about 3 more years back to the way it was.
Well, that's what it is.
They're gonna keep merging and merging.
Well, it's all streaming in that, and the cable systems are dead. I've got Uverse, and they're not. They keep raising our rates, and they got no deals. You can't even sign up for Uverse TV anymore.
Yeah.
So we've been talking about actually cutting that out and just going straight internet stuff because I'm thinking about what do I watch? Well, we watch the MLB baseball. Now, I've been watching a lot of Tigers this year because I like the new guy Jason they've got who's announcing them. He's funny. He's got Craig Monroe with him. So there, and he's very insightful. He's the guy that came over from Chicago. Tigers, not winning every game, but they're playing good. They lost last night, but that was an extra innings, and it was by 1 run. So I've enjoyed watching them a little more. But with the MLB package, I can watch any team I want except for the Tigers because they're blacked out in our area. But then also I watch a lot of some of the CBS shows. Well, I can get Paramount TV for that. If a couple of the shows I watch on ABC, well, I can watch Hulu for that. So I'm thinking, do I really need to spend this extra $100 and something a month on the cable side of things? If we're not, I'm flipping through channels this morning trying to find something to watch while I'm eating breakfast. Nothing's on.
Well, what's going to happen is they're really just becoming an internet provider, and as the people stop paying them for channels because we want more a la carte type things, they're just going to have to keep raising the internet price. Because that's going to be that's really what they are now.
They're all
internet with channels added.
Well, it's like Comcast got rid of the Bally's channel because they couldn't come to a deal.
Right.
And I was talking with one of my customers I deliver to all the time. He mentioned that to me, and he goes, now he's a guy. He's a very simple guy. He's only a couple years older than me, but he is not technology savvy at all. And he goes, yeah. My neighbors tell him I can't watch the Tigers. And he goes, I want to watch. This news channel, and I want to watch the Tigers, and that's it. Other than that, I don't listen to radio. And he's like, and then my neighbor's like, oh, you got to get a Fire Stick. He goes, what the F is a Fire Stick? And he gets him a Fire Stick, brings it over, shows him how to set it up. He goes, oh, this ain't bad. He gets the Bally's because now I'm paying an extra $20 a month for the Tigers, plus the cable bill. And I look and say, well, cancel your cable. If you only watch the news channel and that, you can download the app for the news channel and get them. He goes, yeah, I already did that. I'm like, cancel the cable. He goes, I got a contract. I said, you got a contract to keep service. Just keep the internet.
Right.
Just get rid of the TV aspect of it.
Yeah.
Because if you can't watch what you want, what's the use of having it?
And most smart TVs now, at least the major brands, they will have their own free channels built in. So if you go to your menu bar, like LG TV has their own, and
Samsung has one.
Samsung, yep, they have a whole bunch of channels that are free.
Yes,
and streaming. You got Freevee and Tubio or whatever it's called, and there's all these different ones that are free through there that you just have to download the app. There's commercials, but you get them free.
Yeah.
So, like for me personally, there's not much. Actually, I don't think there's anything I actually watch on regular TV on a regular basis.
Yeah, I've been trying to think of that. I record a few things. Like I like to watch Triple D on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. I've been recording Who's Line, and that's about done. Which I should talk about that real quick too in a minute here. As I went and saw Who's Live is it anyways last week.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And that, but things like that. So I'm looking at the TV going, this is a bunch of crap. I mean, I've been buying movies for years, so I love that. So I got pretty much every movie I want to see, or I can find it streaming. I'm looking at all the streaming stuff. It's like, when I'm paying for all that stuff, I'm like going, might as well get rid of the cable aspect. Yeah. And the built-in TV stuff is fine. I do like a Roku box a little bit better, but I do use my TV out in the living room, my Samsung for stuff too. So
yeah. Well, what it shows, I think, is how bleak the creative energies are in our country or in Hollywood or whatever. TV, there's almost nothing good on anymore. Go to the movies right now. There's nothing. We should be in prime movie season right now. There should be a big hit every 1 to 2 weeks coming out right now.
Yeah, the big hit last week was the new Planet of the Apes movie, and it did
right.
They had a good
release do
week.
Well.
Yeah,
right. But we should be having something huge every freaking week right now.
Yeah.
And there's like nothing.
I think we need to go back to like what I did last week. So this gives me a good segue into this is we need to stop going and watching TV and movies and go back to live entertainment. And that's what I did last week. I took Mom, kind of a Mother's Day thing, but I got the tickets back last fall. Took her out to a nice dinner. We went and saw Who's Live Anyway with Greg Proops, Jeff Davis, Ryan Stiles, and Joel Murray, who is Bill Murray's younger brother. Joel starred in One Crazy Summer from the 80s and several other movies in that. 2-hour show almost, and it was hilarious to the point I was almost crying a couple times. And of course, they pull people from the audience, they take suggestions from the audience, so it's like a whose line is it anyway tape show done live. Just really good, very funny. Had just a great time with it. There are actually tickets for sale now if you want to go see them in our area here in Michigan. Stranahan Theater in Toledo in October, they're going to be there. And I would say this: if you like that kind of stuff, you like improv, and every show is going to be different. I mean, they have basic stuff for what they're going to do, but because of what the audience participation and things like that, it changes. Like they did the whole thing where two of them are doing a setup, but they have suggestion audience written on paper, so they would bring out their lines on the paper.
But here's the thing: your suggestion is to go see things live, right?
Yep.
The only good live stuff is people over 50. Like the concert I went to, Styx, was phenomenal. They're all in their 70s. Who's lying? Yeah. They're in their 60s and up. It's like anybody under 50, there is nothing coming out. They can't produce any form of entertainment, whether it's TV, movies, live. Like nothing.
Well, the only thing right now for the under 50 with what you said there would be Taylor Swift. She's been producing her own shows and getting them out there.
Yeah, but
we see them going to.
Yeah,
but if younger people, I think what we will see is a resurgence, and part of it is some of this TikTok culture. Younger people, you see the kids that are playing musical instruments are actually learning them. It's not everybody trying to be these manufactured singers and stuff like that. And as some of these older people start really going away, I think we're seeing a couple generation jump. Well, they'll start coming back up into this. But it's going to take some time. I mean, part of it is comedy. Younger people have a hard time with comedy because they're being told that things that are funny aren't funny if one person doesn't like it. It's not just about being offended. What? I just don't like it, so that can't be funny.
But I think it goes beyond that. Our kids are being so programmed in everything, like boredom. Mm-hmm. Boredom is a necessary part of childhood. It forces you to be creative, find something to do, learn a hobby. You do stuff.
Yeah.
And you develop through boredom is a way of
and would be bored always sucked in as a kid, and I remember that. But you always you created something to do then. Where now, and I've seen this for years now, especially as coming into an adulthood through my life now, is parents are always saying the same thing. Well, I have to find stuff to keep them busy the whole time. Well,
of course, no, don't let them be bored.
Yeah, no, go to your room and figure something out.
Let them be bored. If I went to my parents when I was a kid, said, "Mom, I'm bored," she said, "Okay, go outside, find something to do.
Go clean your room."
Like they didn't. They give you chores, so you'd be like, "I better find something to do." Yeah. You go outside, you learn how to make friends. The kids now, if they don't have something told to them to do, they don't know how to do something.
Yeah.
Boredom's important. And I'm sorry, also, people are going to think I'm crazy. We need to bring back bullying. Bullying is an important part of childhood. It's a hierarchy. How many comedians say their childhood had problems, so they learned how to be funny to make friends? They learned how to be funny to get that bully off their back. Kids now don't have to learn that because we've pulled that. There's something to a social hierarchy where you have to allow children to self-police within their hierarchy because they learn skills in that process for life. We've stripped everything that is an obstacle in childhood out of their life, and they're just kind of coasting through life now in this safety bubble.
Back to 1870. Every kid now, when they hit the age of 5, needs to go work the coal mines. They've got to do just like our great grandfathers do. 2 years in the coal mine, that way they can develop black lung and understand the pain.
But they also developed to become the greatest generation.
They did.
Because not saying that you want to go that hardcore, but
and I'm kidding, folks.
Great men.
Not telling we need to have child labor. There's already enough in the world that's illegally making batteries. So,
we have enough child labor in the world that we can pay for it and pretend like it doesn't exist.
Right. So, but
But we got to let our kids have problems. We got to let our kids have boredom, because I think that's why we have this gap in creative energies is because that's how you create
It actually is
The exercise.
this is the kind of you go back a little bit to the end of the movie Ready Player One. I can mention the book movie, and they take over the Oasis and they
Yep.
shut it down during a couple times during the week one day, so everybody has to go out and just enjoy life and not actually just
Yeah.
be in this fake world. And that's where everybody's at right
Yes.
now. Is you need, and I was telling talking with somebody the other day again. It's like going places like everybody's on their phones and stuff like that. And actually it was Chris just
Right.
mentioned his grandkids come over, they have a place, the kids have to leave their phones, they can't have it with them when they're visiting. It's
Right.
there, but they don't want to sit on the phone the whole time. They want to, and I told us that, I when I go places now, I do take some pictures still. I'll take a video here and there. Most of the time, though, I put my phone away and I just enjoy that. And actually comes back from several years ago, a picture that was shared on the internet, and it showed an older woman sitting there just looking at everything. Everybody around her had their cell phones out. And you see this at concerts, or you see the whatever events, that you can do that at. And I started thinking about that. It's like, I got a billion pictures, but I don't want to live life looking through my phone. I want to see it and that's what I've started forcing myself to do.
Well, and I've even heard people say, like, well, why would I bother going there? I can look it up online. We have a generation where, like, if they become writers and they're producing content, you can only write about what you know. And so if they're writing about,
I don't think it's about what you know, is what you've experienced. And that's a different thing.
Well, that's what I'm getting at is, when they write about something, they're writing about something they read about. And people who've actually done it, when they see it unfold on the screen, it comes across shallow because you're like, well, that's not really how it is. That's not what it's like to overcome. That's not what it's like to smell the ocean. That's not
when they're watching their TikToks and everything else, it's and they're writing about that stuff. They're writing about what they know from an already edited format.
Yeah.
So they didn't see the fact that this is a gorgeous. It's like the new commercial where this guy finds this great serene place. Next thing you know, everybody's found out about it, and they're online. And the first person after him is she turns around in video like, "Oh, I found this great serene place, and I'm going to be it's all
I'm
fake.
Manifesting abundance."
Yeah, and I'm the only one here, and there's a line, a million people,
right?
And that's what it is. It's all that fake. It's that fake online stuff. So I still haven't put TikTok on my phone. I had it a couple times, took it off. Yeah. It's also fake, and I look at stuff, but anymore I'm looking through. I'm kind of I'm more looking for like clips from like Who's Line or Family Guy or something like that, because any real person stuff I don't want to care for anymore.
Yeah, well, even with TikTok, they've become the kind of their own problem. Is when you do go on it, it's just now become everybody doing infomercials for free products. That's all it is. I will say though, when there is something that's like a disaster type thing, TikTok will have the videos before anyone else. You can see people's live videos of actual events, and like I'll know information an hour before the media talks about it.
Yeah, they can't keep up with that because it's so instantaneous.
So I do think it's good for instant info on disasters.
All right. Let's get to Star Wars before.
Let's get to Star Wars.
Yeah, so we've got Tales of the Empire.
Yeah, this article here I pulled up because I love the title of the article, because this is a character I have zero cares for. I found it very dull and boring in the Ahsoka series, but Filoni really fleshed the backstory of the character out and actually made her an interesting character.
Yes.
Morgan Elsbeth.
Yeah, she was okay through Ahsoka. Was she in Rebels or something like that? Or
I don't recall her being anywhere other than Ahsoka.
Okay. Because I was trying to, but yeah, in Ahsoka she was fine, and we saw stuff in Ahsoka that, we get to see how it happened with her life before this.
Oh, she was in Mandalorian.
Mandalorian, that's what it was. Yeah. They introduced her through Mandalorian. So.
Yep, and then carried her over into Ahsoka.
Yeah. She was she was with when she asked where's Grand Admiral Thrawn, and she's basically asking her for that. So that was right. It's Mandalorian that led into Ahsoka, and everything else. I agree. I liked her. I like this characterization they did here. We got to see her grow through the 3 episodes she was in. I thought it added more to the Ahsoka series of stuff going on, because she's tied into Ahsoka that way. So, and being the witches of Dathomir are gone. So she's the last of them, other than the ones we saw
Right.
now in Ahsoka that are coming from that other world. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, so I liked it, and so what else?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
And then what about
I'm
the
sorry,
last
what?
three? That was the last three with Barris.
Yeah, then you had Barris Sophie's storyline, which um I enjoyed. I did enjoy it, but I didn't feel it added anything to a larger arc. I felt like this was just because Filoni didn't create Barris Sophie as a character. She was like a small appearances in the prequel movies,
Mhm.
and then they fleshed her out more in the expanded universe books. But then Filoni really fleshed her out as a character in the Clone Wars series. So I think he kind of had some personal feelings of ownership over her. And I feel like this was just his vehicle to tell out her tale, maybe, but it didn't really add anything to a larger story. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
As a Star Wars fan, I watched it. I just wish there was something more to connect because Barris and Ahsoka had a very heated, complicated relationship. Barris set Ahsoka up as a traitor and did all kinds of stuff. I wish they tied that in more and did something there, but
well,
I
the thing
enjoyed
with
it.
that
It was
was
good.
after you and I have talked initially about it, it was like, I think about it, it's like, okay, I think what we're going to see here is I wouldn't be surprised she doesn't show up in the second season of Ahsoka. 'Cause she's become a healer,
That's what I'm thinking.
and I think that's what
Eh,
Filoni was setting up was her becoming a healer, stepping away from
yeah,
after being a Jedi who is not a Jedi. Because they say that in this thing, it's like, the reason you're alive is because you're no longer a Jedi. That's why you get to live.
yeah,
But then they made her an Inquisitor. She was
right.
one of the sisters.
Yeah,
So, but then now I
right. And
think, and then
then she
she
got
left, and I think the way they told the
disillusioned with
story,
what they were doing.
yeah, she realized it didn't fit even her because still having,
So
she had been, even though she wasn't
yeah,
a Jedi anymore, she still had a lot of the uh, thoughts that Jedi's have in
yeah.
terms of what's right and what's not right. So, but
In the expanded universe books,
mhm,
her core power in the Force was healing, and she worked the battle lines a lot, healing clones. She used the
mhm,
Force to heal a lot of people. So it was kind of like she was like a ER surgeon, kind of in the battlefield, helping people. That's how they had her in the expanded universe. I don't know what they did in the current canon, but Filoni's definitely kind of took her back to those roots. The only thing I don't like is they did this big time jump. So if she is going to be in the Ahsoka series or in the Mandalorian movie or whatever, if they bring her back, we now know her ending. And so that kind of takes some of the edge off in that we know, okay, we know she's going to survive this because we know she's going to be down the road here. So that's the only, I wish they didn't do the time jump,
yeah,
but if they're going to use her again, if this is just to close off her storyline and say this is what happened to her
and that might be, but
and we're not revisiting, then that's
see,
fine.
see with the whole thing, like with the Tales of the Jedi, I really felt that the more they told in that, it explained a little more of who Ahsoka was. So the whole 6 episodes, because it started with Dooku and everything led through Ahsoka, and I thought that
Mhm.
really built up a lot more of what we've seen going on. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, they bring her back, and we kind of know where she's going at. But at the same time, there may still be something more that could be added to the story, and bring into with Ahsoka. So, and that's where I think it's all going. I really think
Yeah.
that Filoni is really
Hmm.
his direct. In my personal opinion, I believe his direction is more Ahsoka based to build from there, and not just Mandalorian as an aspect of that too, but Ahsoka based to bring in more through the Jedi stuff, and eventually circumnavigate around the sequel series of movies. If they do bring something with Rey, again, nothing new on that since the director says she's what she's going to do. But this was also around the time Filoni got named creative director, so I think he has some. Uh, Basically ways of saying no, this is not going to happen, even though Kathleen Kennedy's still around, but she's kind of the financial aspect of us what I read initially on that. So if that's the case, and if he can say, if he can basically, so sorry, Kathleen, we're not doing your stuff. This is the direction we're going to bring back the fans, and
Hmm.
I think it'll be good. So
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see where it goes. But I enjoyed it for what it was. They're short episodes. I think both story arcs worked perfect for this format of these mini, 3 episodes of each
yeah,
storyline. You know, what were they, probably 20, 25 minutes an episode or something?
I didn't think they were that long. So
yeah, they were short.
Yeah.
But it worked. I enjoyed it.
yeah, and I wish they would do more of those. I if they're gonna use that to help tell other stories that you don't need to tell in a full series or movie. So
Yeah,
that's
you know, in the books, you also had like they had a couple different books that way, where it was Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Empire. You had the Tales of
Well, Tales of the Jedi was yeah, Tales of the Jedi was a long running series for a while there. That was a good series.
Yeah, but they also had it where like you followed like Jabba the Hutt and all those characters, and so
yeah, they
had,
did
and it was a
Bounty
bunch
Hunters
of
and
short
Smugglers and all that.
stories.
Yeah, and I like
Yeah.
that. That's what I liked about the Tales of the Jedi comic series, especially was all these short stories and things like that. So
Yeah, they're perfect for those little side stories that don't need a full fleshing out, but it just gives enough extra detail to, you know, enhance main storylines.
yeah,
So yeah, and then the next thing will be what? The Acolyte. That'll be coming up in 2 weeks.
June
So
4th.
let's see, 1, 2,
I think it's
so
June
2
4th,
and a
3
half weeks.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
So-
I'm excited to see that. I really hope it. So
I hope
far,
it's
all
good.
the trailers I've been liking. I just hope the stuff being said in the interviews is overhyped by the director, writer, or whatever, and actors.
Yeah.
If it
Yeah, 'cause
fits
there's-
what the trailer's showing, it'll be good.
Yeah, a few of the actors in here I'm really excited for. You know, it's like Carrie Ann Moss
Mhm.
is in it. I like her. The main
Oh,
guy
yeah.
that's showing is guy from Squid Games. He was good in that.
He looks good in this. Yep.
And everything else. So I think it's gonna be interesting to see. And I'll give it a chance. I mean, it's just like I do with anything. If I like it, I'll watch it. It's like I gave a chance to that Marvel series, The Girl, whatever. And I watched a couple and just didn't like it. I just didn't like the storytelling direction. It felt like didn't go anywhere, and it didn't let anything to what they were doing for Marvel. And while I could watch the Marvels movie, I still haven't watched it.
No. And then, as a reminder, The Acolyte is 100 years before Phantom Menace.
Yes.
So, Star Wars Episode 1. So
I think it looks like they're trying to show the emergence of the Sith. So
they got to be careful how they do that, because in Episode 1, the movie, when Qui-Gon says he thinks they've encountered a Sith Lord, he says it's been a millennium since the Sith have been around. So that's 1,000 years.
yeah,
So if they reveal it, they can't reveal it publicly, because the Jedi have to be ignorant of it.
yeah. I think
Or the person just doesn't survive. Whoever finds out doesn't survive.
right, and I think that's part of it too. We'll see on that, but it's also, I mean, through different things they've had the Sith pop up here and there, even in the games, but it's now gone to legacy series stuff. But yeah, but even with the millennium, 1,000 years, the Sith haven't been in power or anything. But doesn't mean they have. But as Yoda is kind of, basically lets know, like, well, 2 there always is, because he says that.
Right, they're operating in secret.
So realistically, they know the Sith are always around, and that there are always 2. So,
and also remember, there's a difference between a Dark Jedi and a Sith. So we could have Dark Jedi in here without it being Sith.
correct.
Like, for instance, Asajj Ventress is one a lot of people think is a Sith. She never was a Sith. She's always been a Dark Jedi. Dooku honored the rule of 2 and never taught her Sith abilities. Sith access a different part of the Force than a Dark Jedi.
Yes.
So there is differences, just like the Dathomir witches also use the Force for their magic, but they access a different part than Jedi and Sith. So there's different elements of the Force that can be accessed.
Exactly. A lot of good stuff there.
A lot of nerd knowledge there.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, this weekend I'll be at Motor City Comic Con, Artist Alley B5. That's in Brett 5. Just come on out and see me.
I'm hoping to make it out there. Can't guarantee it with this new listing. We'll be doing some open houses and things like that. So I definitely am hoping to at least slip out there one day.
Yeah, shoot me a message. Let me know you're coming out.
Yep.
And then we'll be at like I said, B5 in Artist Alley. Check the map. They've changed the map this year. So the layout's a little different.
Flip-flopped.
Yep. And which I think would be better, because that newer area doesn't have the poles like the old area does. So it makes it a little bit easier to get around.
But you would think they would figure out how to lay out around the poles. It's not like they just started setting up there.
I know. It's been 20 years.
Been in the same spot forever.
Yeah. Almost 20 years. So
yeah. So,
but hey, so that's what's going on there. So, but join us next week, and we'll give you a recap of Motor City Comic Con, whatever else we want to talk about. You never know. Like today, we just kind of rambled on. So
we rambled.
Yep. So hey, we'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.